Hello everyone, welcome back to one of our classic live streams. Today we're going to be popping around in a Cessna 152 over a lovely Greece. We're going to be taking off the Stiprolus airbase. This is a Lima Golf Tango pop-up for those of you who'd like to join us today. And it's going to be a lot of fun today because as you probably noticed from looking at the scenery over here in the background, we've got some real serious mountains for a little tiny Cessna 152 like this. But obviously we're going to make it do, and we're going to have a really fun time doing it. Along the flight, of course, as most of you probably heard the news, I'll be telling a little bit about my adventure getting the private, as well as that insane thing that was called a check ride, and kind of make some comments along the way. Of course, we're here as well because I promised we do little training airplanes at some point, and this seemed like a pretty good opportunity. Our ultimate destination today, of course, is going to be up in, it's a little loud actually, it's going to be up in Athens, and we're going to go pop kind of through Athens, then we're going to come back around, and we're going to landing at Lima Golf Echo Lima, which is another Air Force base, but I think they'll forget us for it, or forgive, I should say. Forget's one thing. They probably won't forget, but that's perfectly fine. So while everybody's kind of getting sorted out, I see he's got some lovely 152s over there on the right. I'm just going to get a couple things here kind of all ready for our flight. We do have a VOR. I'm not VOR. We have an ADF we can actually use for this flight, which I was really excited because I never get to use the ADF anymore. Obviously, we're not going to be able to pick it up until we get a little bit closer to it. Now, normally what we do is we go choo-choo right across those mountains, but we're in a 152. So we could probably do it if we gave ourselves enough time. My preferred method is to take the highway. I think it's just going to be a little easier. We're going to be flying IFR, meaning I follow the road, so it's going to make it pretty good. Are we trying to fly around the canyon? That is the Corinth canal. I did it a couple hours ago. Yes, that is basically going to be where we're going to be flying today. So like I said, it'll be pretty relaxing. Total flight time today I think is right around 42 minutes, but obviously it depends on how much flight seeing, what's that? You can tell I'm tired. Sightseeing we're going to be doing once we get over to Athens. So without further ado, let's get this row on a show, so to speak. Now, one thing that's already killing me there is I'm taking a look at that sock, and the sock says, you have a crosswind, enjoy. Oh well. I actually think they did a nice job with the sound environment of this plane. I love the way that it creaks and the kind of gentle. The one thing you don't get as much though is just the constant like little static on the radio. You know, there's a little bit of like noise. You know, once in a while it gets windy in your ear. Little things that you kind of miss. I'm taxiing way too fast here for the real world, but we're in a stream. I think it'll be okay. Hold tight for just a second. Go check the approach. Looks like we got somebody on the far side. Gamersons88, welcome back, by the way. Swinging over on this side looks pretty good. We're going to do a midfield takeoff. Oh, yeah, there it is. Right there. Oh, man, look at how short of a runway is. For a 152, this is not short. Let's give everybody I call this the F-18 here, the carrier warm-up. Make sure everything's working okay. We're not going to use any flaps for takeoff, but we'll do short field anyway, because why not? Let's go. I'll take a nice slow loop here to give everybody plenty of time to get airborne for those of you who would like to join us. By the way, we're on the East USA server for, like I said, those who want to join us. And like I said, we're Lima Golf Tango Papa. It's an Air Force base, but too bad. Plenty of time to get airborne. No problem. So I've never been to Greece, which is kind of a shame because the wifey and I really want to take a cruise up here someday because from the things I've seen already, it is definitely a very lovely looking country. They have a very unique food. I actually got to check out a really, really neat Greece restaurant. That was actually a Greek restaurant over in my part of the country, over in the New England here in the United States. And it was really neat. Got to try a couple different things too, which I'm just interesting take. Definitely worth exploring some more. And all of a sudden I kind of like hummus, which was not something I ever really had before. And apparently I've been missing out for a very, very long time, which is, it is what it is. All right, let's go swing around. Like I said, I'll hold this kind of slow for a minute until we kind of get established on the A7, which should be this lovely highway right here. And that looks pretty good. What happened to all the traffic today? I was going to swear there's more traffic. There's the highway. It's going to take us right where we need to go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and slow down a little bit, let everybody get caught up. Let's see here. 2,200 RPM should be fine. Oh, man, this is such a different pace. I've been flying that silly Pelican around the last few days, and it is a totally different craft than this thing. This thing's just like, just go. Myself a little bit of trim here. Like I said, just give everybody a chance to get caught up. Then we'll kind of swing around. Grand Biscuit, thank you for that. And thank you again, Simon, for that one. That was crazy. Like I did, I'll tell you about how absolutely ridiculous the journey for Pilot actually was. It's one of those things where everybody's like, oh, it's not as bad as you think. And kind of, I don't know. And again, I don't want to scare anybody off of it. Just be very mindful of who you pick as a flight instructor and who you pick as a DPE. That's going to have a massive impact on your whole experience with it. All right, we want to get at least 1,000 over, so that's going to be about 3,100 feet, so I'm going to get a little more altitude here. All right, I assume the folks behind me have gotten a little bit caught up here. They're getting close, they're getting close. Oh, we got Wagga coming. Remember, you can always tap the Y key and slew like crazy if you need to. I just want to get up a little bit higher here, so I can at least be... I don't know what the legal is in Greece, but I know what the legal is in the U.S. I don't know if I consider this densely populated, so maybe we can get away with 500 feet? I don't know. All right, awesome. Just going to get just a little bit more. That looks pretty good right there. Now, the Cessna 152, I have a few hours in it. This is one of those aircraft that when I first started, actually not first, when I picked up my private pilot training way back, and that was actually last year, in June-ish, we got to try out the 152, and it was just... it was not pleasant. I'm not going to call it a piece of junk by any means, but it was just very small, very noisy, very, very, very bumpy, and sensitive in a good way in the sense that it was responsive, but sensitive in the bad way that, like, when you went to go like this, all of a sudden you'd find your nose pointing at the sky, and you'd be like, okay, did not expect that. So I was very happy to move on to the regular 172. All right, people have caught up. Let's go. Yeah, there it is. So cruise RPM on this thing, believe it or not, the book says we can use 2,500, which is kind of funny because I'm at full throttle right now. And we're just starting to pick up some speed here. I got to actually start backing the throttle out because we don't want to do 2,750 RPM. That wouldn't be good. One of the first fun things about the private pilot check ride is they asked us to do the flight at 75% power. Now, I flew 172 this entire time. It was a 172 November. I did some time at a Warrior as well. And what blew my mind about it is that's the equivalent of 2,600 RPM on a 172. Now, I don't know about you, but, like, I never flew at that RPM before. So it was kind of a new experience, experiencing the top speed, finger quotes. And again, massive finger quotes around that there. There we go, about 3,100, and we're just going to kind of make our way through the mountains here. Is there a type rating for planes with new engines? Grand Biscuit, it sounds to me like you're trying to fly gliders. So type ratings are tricky because in the U.S. at least, do you have a turbine? You need a type rating. Are you past a certain weight? You're going to need a type rating. So as far as planes without engines, that would probably make you glider, which has its own licensing and all that other kind of stuff required for it, because it's just different. You know, when you have no engine, it it definitely affects how things go for you. Now, what really surprised me about type ratings is there are some aircraft you'd expect to have a type rating that don't. They're just not big enough, or they're not. And then you get the opposite effect where you get these lightweight, like personal jets, I call them, and they do have type ratings, even though they're plenty light enough. Where it gets ultra complicated is, do I get paid to fly? Is somebody else paying me to fly? Am I taxiing you? Am I a carrier? It just gets amazingly complex very quickly. I'm going to go keep on going here. Nice. Sorry, I cannot pronounce that name. To play Dark Souls would be relaxing. I don't know if I could play Dark Souls. That game has a frustration associated with it that just blows my mind. Now, a fun story about Greece. Not really, because like I said, I haven't been there. Way back in the day, there's this game called Colin McRae's Rally. For those of you not familiar with that one, it was a rally game. You know, you basically drove off four-wheel drive vehicles through incredibly dangerous terrains. And one of my favorite places, other than being in Australia, was actually flying in Greece, because you had this great combination of these gravel strips, which I'm actually looking out the right side right here, along with these incredibly stupidly, ultra stupid, dangerous, like left, right, and then suddenly, you know, back onto asphalt kind of situations, which are positively terrifying and also a ton of fun to try to race around on. And that was like my first introduction. Oh, this is what Greece is like, huh? And kind of looking around, you can definitely see how the terrain would lend itself to that, with a combination of the mountains as well as, you know, kind of like a little bit of asphalt, a little bit of agriculture, things along those lines. But again, we picked the prettiest countries to fly these things. I should probably be looking out my window right now. This is not doing good cockpit resource management, by the way. We should be looking for traffic. We shouldn't be looking at scenery. Yeah, exactly. Grand Biscuit's got the idea. So the interesting thing, yeah, you can, if I have 3 passengers, I can charge them 3/4 of the flight costs total. Obviously, you need different ratings for different things. Check that out. Now, that's a switchback. Now, when I think rally driving, that's kind of what I think about right there. And obviously, in our little airplane, that's not going to be too threatening, but I can imagine in some kind of racing car trying to go 100 miles an hour, that's going to be nasty. And I love these little towns like this, just chilling at the bottom of, like, the big shadow of a mountain. That's just so cool. Now, incredibly, the highway we've been following this whole time is right there. Do you see where the tunnel goes? The tunnel hits right there, and it pops out on the other side of this mountain that we're actually going to be coming down right here. So I'm actually going to let the nose drop just a little bit. I'll pull the throttle back down to the correct RPM here. And you can actually see how it basically snakes through all this terrain here, tunnel after tunnel. It's so cool. Unfortunately, they won't allow us to fly through the tunnels, which, you know, I saw them try it in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and it didn't go so well. Something about wing damage. All right, and let's pull back the RPM a little bit. We're doing 2,500. That's plenty. And we're just going to make our way down to this valley. Pretty relaxing here. Oh, yeah. This is so cool. Just imagine everybody in those little cars looking up at us. We're looking down at them going, hey, and they're saying, huh? The same exact time. Well, you can take the highway or you can take that way. Although there seems to be more people taking that way than taking the highway. Oh, there's some people on the highway today. Although I don't know if you call it a highway in Greece. I'm sure it has a specific name for it. But I'm not going to try to get that one wrong. All I know is it's the A7. Also, we should be picking up the ADF. And yes, we are. Check it out. For anybody who wants to do some good old-fashioned ADFing, we got a frequency 3902. It should be just about where Corinth is, which is where we're going to need to basically cross over by where the canal is and start making our way into Athens proper. No, Baker, my eyes are actually pretty dark. They are basically black. Black hair, black eyes. Excellent question. There's probably the slightest hint of brown in them, but they're effectively... It says on my driver's license they're black also, which I just find kind of funny. Just sort of one of those things. Now, if you really want to get complicated, my mom actually has 2 different color eyes. So that makes it very interesting when you go, okay, which one's more obvious, that color? This is so cool. Also, I like the fact that you guys identified all the little details on that. Now you know everything about me. Of course, you can just look it up too, so it's really not that big of a deal. The interesting thing, though, is, you know, censoring out any names, so if I do make any comments, you know, I don't have to direct it at any particular individual. Nice. Okay, I think we're pretty well trimmed out here. I'm just going to give it a couple whacks of up trim. And we're just going to kind of make, look at this valley. This is amazing. Yeah, where I live, we don't have mountains like this. I've made that comment many times in our mountain flights here. But like I said, this is just, it's just nice. It's just nice. Tap a little tapsy old trim. And we should be looking for traffic here. All right, how's our traffic? Oh, mostly behind us, but that's all right. All right, let's see who we recognize today. Let's see here. Gamersense, welcome back. Simon, welcome back. Hager, welcome back. Jing, I don't recognize you, but welcome anyway. And Lafflerog, going for the record there. Awesome. It looks like we have somebody in a Cessna, probably not with us, but there's a lot of folks over kind of this way that'll probably be making their way in our general direction as time goes on. It's one of the kind of nice things about it. All right, kind of swing back this way, get that ADF needle nice and centered. Okay, so check ride. So that was an amazingly interesting experience. My first check ride was scheduled on March 15th, for anybody who's curious. And that was defeated on account of some endorsement issues in my logbook. That was actually pretty annoying. The next one, I don't remember the exact date, but it was wrecked by weather. The next one was wrecked by weather. The next one was wrecked by COVID. The next one was wrecked by weather. And bam, we made it all the way to June 15th, which was last week. After quite a grilling in the oral section, the interesting thing with the oral section is anything you feel that you don't really know much about tends to be the thing they're going to ask the most questions on, which was kind of interesting. For me, it was the first time I'd ever actually gone through the logbooks of an airplane before to actually like see what engines are and what required checks are. It was just kind of this whole airworthiness experience that was ridiculous. I feel like we spent an hour on that and then like 20 minutes on everything else. Like, what is this airspace? What altitude? If I flew into this zone, would I still be in this airspace? You know, then questions like, you know, how fast is this? What cloud is this? You know, things like that. It was all very straightforward. Then you get in the airplane, of course, you know, the windshield, you know, it's got a bunch of dead bugs on it because it's summertime where I am right now. And it's like, oh, we're not going anywhere until you clean that. And it's like, I've never actually cleaned that window before. The flight instructor always did that. So that was kind of amusing. And then you actually, you know, get to go flying. Then you do your little flight briefing. It's like the most detailed pre-flight briefing you've ever done in your life. And it's like, oh, by the way, don't forget this. It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. But again, you're under so much pressure and stress at the time, you forget stuff pretty easily. And then, of course, you finally do get in the air, and it's like, all right, we want to do this with this particular flight plan. You know, you have to fly basically old school, looking out the windows. I follow roads. And, of course, it's the day when you, because of the way the light was hitting everything, you could not see your first waypoint no matter what you did. So, of course, you hit it, and you're pretty much on time, but then air traffic control calls you and tells you to move, and then they tell you don't use that altitude, and then there's clouds that you have to dive underneath, and all these things happen back to back when you're like, I'm just trying to identify that mountain right there and look at my stopwatch and make sure, oh my gosh. And then, of course, the other thing is you're flying along the check ride is, you're playing a maximum, I'm about to be attacked by a, Japanese Zero at any point with your head on a swivel kind of a thing, which just makes it that much more complicated to do everything else. And after all that stress, then you have issues where you can't talk and you have intercom problems or like, it's a really, really turbulent. And it's like, wow, this is going to be one heck of an evening kind of a thing. The best part, though, is the first maneuver they made us do was a normal landing. And we're normal landing on an airport I've been to, but a runway I've never landed on in my life. So it was one of those experiences where you have to hit this particular point on this runway within 400 feet, which isn't too hard. The real world's a lot bouncier, obviously, than it is in the simulator. But we have to hit that point the first time. And, of course, I'm coming around way too fast, way too high. And the guys look at me like, ooh, this is a good time to demonstrate your go-around skills. So I just kicked the thing as hard as I could into a really, really tight slip, put the thing down within basically 50 feet of where I was supposed to be. And he just gave me this strange look of like, that wasn't the right thing to do, but you did it right. It was kind of strange. Then we had to do a soft field, which a real world soft field's a lot harder than it is in the sim. In the sim, you just go. In the real world, it's like, yikes. You have to touch the ground gently, and you have to hold the nose up, and the plane wants to go all over the place when you hit the grass. It's crazy, and you can't use your brakes, and you got to be careful with your flaps, because then it becomes too much. It's different. And then, of course, he came around and says, oh, we'll do short field. I'm like, oh, short field, my favorite. We have a Cessna 172N, which has 40 degrees of flaps. When you use 40 flaps, if you pull the throttle back, the plane just goes down like an elevator. It's kind of neat. Does not do that in the sim. And, just coming around short field, ready to go. I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's go around. It's like, you've got to be kidding me. That was the first landing I was going to do today I was actually going to be proud of. So that was just like, oh, this is my head. So then we went up and we did a bunch of, traffic. Nice. And then we did a bunch of IFR maneuvers. I was really expecting it to be really, really, really tough IFR maneuvers, like pinpointing your position by crossing two radials and like really tough stuff to do while you're under the hood, so to speak. Turned out being track this height, altitude, check the setting, go with this speed. Okay. And then, of course, it was like, all right, let's identify this radial. Okay. Track this. Okay. All right, you good. I was like, oh, cool. So then, of course, it was all right, let's do all the slow flight. And normally I do the slow flight at 57. On the 172 that I flew. So, of course, he's like, slow flight should be 3 or 4 miles an hour greater than the actual stall speed with the flaps down. So I'm like, that's new. So, of course, when you're flying a 172, relatively, especially an old one that's lighter, your nose is like 10 degrees up and your engine's almost full blast and you're sort of hovering there. It's a very, very strange experience. And then he makes me turn and then goes around. And it's like, show me your departure stall, then show me approach stall. And then, of course, he says, pick a point on the ground. I pick a point, and we do a turn around a point. And I could have done that all afternoon. We did one revolution. He's like, yeah, good enough. Then he's like, all right, use the GPS to take us home. So I did the GPS to take us home. He makes me do the short field, which, again, because of air traffic control, they made us come in really, really tight. So we're too high, we're too fast. Still did it. Landed, he yelled at me for going too fast in taxi, then you get out of the plane, and then you can't back the plane out because you're still kind of nervous and you think you failed the test and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, we'll talk upstairs, real dramatic kind of a thing like that. So, of course, you run upstairs and you're sitting there like depressed as heck going, oh my gosh, I probably blew it. Obviously there's a couple times where I wasn't on the right number, I was a little fast, I was a little slow. When I did the recovery from an unusual attitude, my hand slipped on the throttle, so we lost power, and then we gained it. I missed a checklist in there. All that little stuff like this, like it's just game over. So he goes over all the negative things that I did, which is like, okay, cool. And then he says, all right, let me have your license. I'm like, uh-oh, kind of like one of those like dramatic, whatever, what have I done? This is like game over for my license kind of a thing like that. So then he takes my, actually a certificate, it's not a license in the US anyway. He takes it, he pulls out a hole punch, and he puts a hole through the holographic image on it. For those of you who saw the image over on YouTube earlier, where it has a hole in the bottom, you can see where he punched the hole at it. And he's like, yeah, you won't need this anymore, you're going to have a new one. And it was just one of those very, very, not heart-wrenching, but it was like, no, my license. And then he's goes ahead and asks me a few questions, trying to see if he could stop me on something. And then he's like, yeah, this is your private pilot one. He prints out 2 copies. He gives you one. He's like, this one's for your bag, and this one's for the refrigerator. He's like, yeah, you can text whoever you want to text to let them know that you're a private pilot now. And I'm like, that was a little dramatic. And I guess, if you're a DPE, you have the right to be a little dramatic from time to time. But that was crazy. That was crazy. probably the most stressful flight I've ever done in my life, but I'm proud of my landings. On the negatives, like I said, I'll talk about this. I have a video on Monday, which will tell you all the things I learned on a check ride for those of you who are interested in learning a little more about it. But on the positives, apparently I had, quote, fantastic control of the airplane. Number 2 was a pro slip, and everything else was I need to be more organized. That's basically what it was. Too much flight simulator time for sure. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start a little bit of a descent here. I'm going to make my way into this valley, pretty much up at my 12 here. So we're going to be heading up into Corinth very, very soon. I would not be surprised if I pronounce Corinth incorrectly. That's kind of my MO. But like I said, it should be a pretty area. And once we get to Athens proper, it reminds me a lot of Paris. And you'll know what I mean when we get there. It's going to kind of take advantage of my little gravity here. Little descent. Oh yeah, by the way, keep yourself at altitude until you absolutely don't have to. No early descents. I just want to get a good look at Corinth as we go by, because there's this neat little canal that basically connects that to that. And it's one of those where like, oh, it should be a big canal. Yeah, wait until you see how small it is. It's just kind of amusing. Yeah, got a little turbulence there, nothing too bad. Just love this. Like, that's just so cool. It reminds me of like in DCS when you're flying like over Syria. Very, very, very similar terrain. I wonder how the ticks are in Greece. Yeah, check this out. So basically, we're going to be popping into this very, very low section of terrain there. Actually, you can already make out the canal. And basically, what we're doing is we've been following this highway the entire time. Again, I call it a highway. Everybody's got probably a different country name for it. Expressway, motorway. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a right when we get into town, and we're going to follow that one all the way to Athens. Now, Athens is super cool because as you're trying to make your approach into it, what's going to happen is everything just gets really, really mountainous, and it's just mountain city. Like, it's so cool. Oh, this is excellent. This is a great use of this airplane, too. Now, if I were flying VFR with this in the real world, a couple things I'd do a little differently. Obviously, I'd have a little more altitude here. I wouldn't try to fly between these two if I didn't have to. It just, it's weird. There we go. It's about 2,000 feet-ish. Yeah, there we go. We'll kind of level us back out again. Yeah, we're a little high in the RPM, but believe it or not, we're not redlined, so I'm perfectly happy with that. All right. Very, very, very nice. KU Mystery, Roosevelt 55. Cirrus makes an excellent airplane. So now that everything's done as far as in the real world, I've got some super duper cool things coming out. Not this week, obviously. We got a couple things kind of coming up. We're going to be doing a little bit of live recordings in the actual plane, and then we're going to be doing some videos that basically show it to you side by side. We're also going to have some stuff where you can kind of see how you translate what you do in the simulator to what you do in the real world. That was actually one of the questions and one of the comments that I got on the post from Wednesday. Just one thing I want to say to anybody who's using the simulator and training at the same time, unless you practice in the simulator, which you practice in the real world, they're going to fight each other. But at the end of the day, a simulator cannot teach you to land a plane. This is going to sound dumb, but like in the simulator, I can land smooth, but in the real world, I can land accurately. Like, I know that sounds odd, but like it's really, really true. It's just so much easier to look around in the real world. But the other things you can do in the simulator, which work really, really well, is especially navigation. So if you're practicing Dead Reckoning, Microsoft Flight Simulator does a spectacular job of getting you ready for Dead Reckoning practice. You know, the times are the same, the winds are the same, the performances are about the same. So we're passing over Corinth, should be right over there. Yep, right on my left. But all those things are going to be roughly the same. The actual, doing this kind of a thing with an airplane, I don't think it's actually going to help you very much as far as learning to fly. One thing I will say it helped me with is actually not this, but this. That was very, 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 very helpful in the simulator, practicing those kind of things like slips and stuff like that, because it's just, in the simulator, you can abuse the plane a little harder. You don't feel bad if something nasty happens to it. All right. Just looking here. Very, 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 very nice. One of the things I'm contemplating now is looking at other ratings, things like tail dragging, and obviously the instrument rating is something I have a huge priority on. It's just going to be a while before I get my instrument rating. That's quite a difficult rating to get. It is not something you can just pop on Microsoft Flight Sim, do 100 approaches, and be like, good enough. It's intense, and there's a lot of little things that you have to do right with an instrument approach that I think I do a very poor job of it. at least of the videos that I make. Especially like the briefs. Something I learned now. And there's Corinth right there on the left. Look at that. It's so cool. All right, so now we're going to be making our way into Athens proper. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to pop along. A couple different ways we can get there. Basically, Athens is on the other side of the mountain that I'm looking at right now. What I want to do is I want to kind of hug the coast and do it kind of not safely, because I can. And then what we'll do is we'll pop right over it. And like I said, you can't miss it. It's a big deal. And one thing that's super duper cool, for those of you who like Google Earth and things like that, this mountain range that I'm kind of looking at right now is the strangest little indentation. Like, you simply cannot believe how steep this aspect of the mountain range is in this particular region. It's like a perfect curve, like a gigantic asteroid hit right here. It's really, really, really cool if you haven't seen it from above, like I said. Oh my gosh, Wagga, you are up high for a 152. All right, just kind of swing along this way nice and gently. Let's take a look at my RPM. 2,500 on the nose. Delightful. It's a rental plane. I don't have to worry about it. Maybe I mistook it for a Cirrus. I don't know. I don't even want to look behind me. I have a feeling there's a ton of traffic. Oh, look at the canal. Look at the canal. Anybody want to fly down it? Is that weird? Oh man, that is so tempting to fly, but I crashed trying to get under the bridge. That is weird. I don't think that's supposed to be like that. We did the Panama Canal a year ago, basically. And that canal looks a little different than that canal, that's for sure. This is so neat. Kind of almost want a sailboat for this area. Everything's water access. Now, one of the fun things is you have all kind of the Greek Isles over there to kind of to the, obviously that way. But some of those Greek Isles, I always think of games like Operation Flashpoint and Arma, because they were, the island shapes themselves were the ones used in the game as inspiration, and I just always thought that was kind of fun. The problem is I can't just like flick on the autopilot and look around. I have to actually fly the plane. This is annoying. Oh man, you're killing it right there. Yay, USAPR, welcome back. I missed you earlier. Nice. This is the one that's killing me right now. We got a KU Mr. 7, and then somebody's about to beeline right into us here. Let's take a quick peek. What are you doing? I can't see you, but I know you're there. How's it going, man? I forget, there's actually a picture of cruise ships going through that particular gap. I'm going to have to go look this picture up, just because it's such a cool picture. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Corinth Canal. Let's see if I can find a picture of a ship going through it. Oh yeah, you have to see this. Oh! Alright, let me switch to desktop mode real quick. So remember that canal we just flew through? What does everybody think? Hey, there's nobody flying underneath that. What's the deal with that? Greetings from Switzerland. Talk. That's awesome. I like that canal. I did not realize. I knew it was quite the canal. I didn't realize it was that. I feel like it would have just been easier to go ahead and do a tunnel instead. Switzerland is not somewhere we have flown in a long time. I think we did Austria. I don't think we've actually done Switzerland proper yet. Kind of thinking a little bit about doing some stuff in the southern hemisphere, because I feel like we've been ignoring them. Wow, there's a lot of stuff down that way. Yeah, check out that really, really cool little pattern there. That's awesome. All right, nose down. Looking around. Just trying to make sure I'm not getting lost here. Not that I think I could get lost, but you never know. I'm new to the area. Let's see here. About $2,000. I like how far the throttle's pushed in. This is definitely not a fast plane. They actually make an interesting Cessna. It's a Cessna 150, and there's also a Cessna 140, and it's like the tiniest airplane you've ever seen, and I believe that particular version is a tail dragger. Look at these cool towns. That's funny. All right. let's just kind of study what we got to do here. Oh, past calls. We are on the East USA server. This is just the easiest one for me because it saves me some other things. Because where you fly has nothing to do with what server you are on. Antarctica is an incredible place. And Antarctica, the official airplane of Antarctica, of course, is the Boeing 247 or like the DC-3 or the DC-6. I know obviously you can take a C-17 and stuff like that in there. You just got to pick the right spot in Antarctica to go. Wait a minute. Antarctica's not beautiful this time of year. It's winter. Wait a minute. Well, it's not true winter. It's probably very close to getting... by winter, I mean it's going to be dark all day. Doken. That's funny. All right. Let's go sneak in here. Out the window here. So the way this works is pretty much off our nose here. This is not Athens. Athens is actually straight off our 12 o'clock. This stuff kind of to the left here is not. That's a Megara. Again, my pronunciation is going to be absolutely garbage here. I'm doing the best I can. Much easier if it was Spain. Wow, there's a lot of people over Athens. We're definitely going to check out the Parthenon while we're there. Now, of course, when I think the Parthenon, I think about every one of those videos that talks about the golden ratio ever. Because obviously, you know, the Parthenon. For those of you who have not seen those golden ratio videos, type in golden ratio Parthenon, and you'll be like, oh, I see what you mean. Past calls, if you're looking for an easy way to catch up, if you go to Lima Golf Mike Golf, you'll have no difficulty catching up to us because basically we're going to overfly it in, I think it's going to be 3.5 minutes, something like that. So you should have no difficulty kind of catching up to us at that point. Oh man, I like general aviation. It is just such a different pace as commercial aviation. And of course, in the real world, we'd be on air traffic control because I'm sure they get a little grumpy with us doing this, but you know, there's plenty of people who do it. Now, one neat thing that I don't see this game do correctly is the wingtips themselves. The whole wing shakes every time you hit a little burst of turbulence. Like it goes up and goes down. Like if I pull like this, see how the wing doesn't wiggle? Or I go like this, it doesn't wiggle? So that's just one of those things that some simulators get pretty good. But this one just, I'm getting a little bit, I guess. But again, not as much as there would be in the real world. And also, like this little piece of metal here actually flexes just a tiny bit. It's just kind of a neat little thing that you see. Oh, hello from the land down under. Caitlin, welcome. Feel free to join us today. The land down under, I've been to Australia. I've told all my Australia stories before, but Australia's amazing. That's another place we haven't flown in a while. I think we did like Melbourne or Sydney or something like that. I gotta go look it up again. That's okay. There's plenty more things to see. We are not landing there, believe it or not. That's Lima Golf, Mike Golf. That's that one right off our nose there. We are going to continue on to Athens proper, which is right over there where Feedimus is. No, I didn't know any better. I'd say that that is the runway, and that's just practice runway. Not bad. Not bad at all. So in Flight Simulator release news, for those of you who have been keeping track of things, we have a really, really exciting free update coming out in November. Is that what I think it is? Oh, that's bad news. For those of you who are following Flight Simulator news, we've got a really, really exciting update coming out in November. We're going to be getting things like gliders, helicopters, a DC-3, an Airbus. I forget which one of the Airbuses it is. And it's all going to be stuff that's going to be coming to us like this. No, Caitlin, I don't think you are. Past calls, I do not normally go daily. No. 2 weeks is kind of my general rule. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes it's more than that. It really depends on what's going on. During, obviously, the not summer, I'm quite a bit busier during the summer. So I tend to see a little bit more like that. Like I say, I kind of pick themes. I always ask people, what are you in the mood for, kind of a thing like that. And people wanted to do 152, so we're in a 152. And I figured, hey, Greece on an ice day would probably be a good choice for a 152. Oh, great. That's going to get trolly. Hey, a Cessna 310. One of my good friends flies one of those. And he was complaining this morning to me, actually, that the landing lights act as better speed brakes than the flaps do. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay. Oh, great. That's a Pelican, and we're about to get harassed by a high-speed Pelican. He can go faster in a hover than we can go in a dive. Oh, well. .310 is a neat plane. Anyway, like I was saying, So we're going to be getting a lot of things that are going to be along those lines as far as brand new aircraft goes. I think the one I'm most looking forward to is probably the DC-3. Although anything that's a helicopter, I just love helicopters. They are so much fun to fly. What is your favorite islands in all of Greece, sir? Panikos, I wish I had a good answer for you. I just don't know the islands because I've never been here myself. When I think of the islands, I think of the only reason I know my Grecian islands at all is because of the game Arma and Operation Flashpoint, because several of those were based on it. I forget I don't want to be wrong on this as far as what island always comes to mind, but now I have to go hunt it down because you've asked. What is the island called? Is it Marina? I can't remember. I'm not going to guess because I'm going to get it wrong. But there's a lot of islands, like I said, kind of northeast of here. This is definitely towards the southeast of things. Oh, yeah, Simon. Speaking of gliders, by the way, I was talking to a local company that does glider training, and I'm very, very tempted. The reason I'm tempted is anything that can make me a better pilot to me is worth my time. Because now that I'm a real pilot, like this is going to sound really dumb. Not that I wasn't a real pilot before. Now, as stupid as this sounds, when you're suddenly a private pilot and you have the roles and responsibilities of one, it totally changes your perspective on your responsibilities. Like normally, oh, I'm a student pilot, whatever. Now it's like, I can lose my license, I can cause damage, I can make go calls, I can make no-go calls, I can, like, it's terrifying when you realize the power you've suddenly been granted. Like, it's completely affected the way I'm thinking, even like the way I want to do videos going forward. You know, normally I'm a lot more loose with my altitude, but I've actually been pretty consistent so far. Altus is Limnos, I think. All right, excellent. I was going to say, I was going to guess Limnos, but I was going to be wrong on that. The island of Nagova is the one from Arma. That's for the expansion pack. That's the one I like. It's just neat. You know exactly why I just got quiet. That's one of the great things. You never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to say. And our friend YouTube there says, do you understand me? Unfortunately, my Russian, no. I have enough trouble with English, to be honest. And now we have an F-22. Neat. That's what I call a military escort. Perfect. All right, we got a great group together. Excellent. Get ready for the fun part. Nice job, pass calls. You caught right up to us. Remember, pass calls, you can always tap the Y key and do a little bit of slewing to kind of get yourself in a better position if you need to do so. That tends to work pretty well. All right. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be swinging across this bay, and we're going to come right into Athens proper. So I'm actually going to take us to a nice, gentle right turn. And there it is. This is so cool. It's like a tropical paradise. Oh, somebody's slewing. That's slewing. I know what I just saw there. It's like a tropical paradise, but everything's temperate. I love it. Yeah, one of these days I like to take a cruise here. I think there's just so many cool islands to check out. And like I said way earlier on the stream, the cuisine is excellent. So it's definitely something I want to spend some more time on. All right, let's lose a little bit of altitude, and let's get ready to check out Athens proper. Couple RPM off. Now, the interesting thing is, in the U.S. at least, buying a Cessna 152 is like buying a really, average sports car as far as cost goes. But it is definitely not a sports car. Look at that open quarry right there. Oh man, I can't get over the density of Flight Sim. Oop, let me go ahead and click over here, make that go away. There you go. Like, it's incredible. Like, compared to what we came from with FSX and things like that, to think an AI basically just generated that is incredible. Now, eventually, we will see combat flight sim, and then we get to take all this beautiful, awesome delightfulness and drop LGBs all over it, which is like, aww. We have this beautiful, beautiful work of art, and we go and ruin it. But gamers be gamers. Rationale. I'm kind of tempted to ask you about the 310. Like I said, my buddy flies those, so they must be pretty good. The aircraft that I want to talk, I was looking at a local flight school, and not flight school, a flight club, and they actually fly a Mooney M20. And now the Mooney M20, I could not believe it's the same engine as a 172S, and it's significantly faster. So it was kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, there's a sports car. Infinite Flight Online Australia. Good day, sir. Fortunately, missed my thing. Maybe he didn't catch my thing about Australia earlier, but it was a lot of fun then. Oh, here we go. Wawa Sempath says Super Flames. Cool, cool. Couple taps of yields. Alright, good, good, good. Alrighty then. Unreal Engine 5, that's pretty terrifying, Hadoken. Unreal 5 is an incredible engine. Oh, one thing I found interesting. Uh-oh. Ha! I believe he just activated the hyperdrive. And hopefully everybody got to see that, because that was literally like, whoop, and he's gone. Here comes Athens. I don't know necessarily that Unreal is going to be any faster than this engine, though. This is definitely a very good engine for what it does. There's a lot of little things I wish it did a little better, but I'm not complaining. Of course, then there's like quality of life things that I always complain about, like the stupid trim wheel. But that's just me. Trim should be linear like X-Plane. Speaking of which, we're getting an X-Plane 12 soon. I don't know that I'm going to go running over to it. Hi to all from Athens. Awesome, Greek dude. We're going to go visit the Parthenon if that's cool with you. Oh my god, look at how dense it is. This is incredible. So when I went to Paris, France on honeymoon back in 2011, or 2012 rather, one of the things I was so fascinated about was the fact that you're not allowed to have tall buildings in Paris proper. There's just one apartment building that's tall, and everything else looks like this as far as, look at how dense it is, as far as the eye can see. And it was just one of those things. And of course you get the Ile-de-France, which is like the business district. Yeah, they've got all the skyscrapers and stuff like that. Oh, this is so cool. All right, I'm going to do some not recommended maneuvers here. I believe this counts as congested, and that means 1,000 feet AGL, but I want to take a look at the streets. I'm sorry. Slow down just a tiny bit here. My nose. I got a little bit of a slip in. We still have that pesky crosswind we've been dealing with most of this flight here. Look at the density. Again, because of streaming, I lose a little bit of quality here, but this is like, it's mind-blowing. Like, look at how thick that is. That is so cool. Of course, where we're going is right over there, but that's all right. And that's 500 feet. I think that's enough. And this is crazy. It's like you're not allowed to have a building greater than 2 stories, otherwise I will come knock it down. But we still want to have a city, so this is what you get. So cool. Uh-oh, apparently that building got flattened at some point. Okay, this is pretty cool. Like this is unbelievable density. Reminds me of like Buenos Aires or something like that. I have no idea how you could tell your house apart. Unfortunately, that's an AI generating a building problem. That is not a real world problem. Hey, that guy just turned around on a one-way street. Careful. Oh, this is so cool. Of course, I know exactly where I'm going. I think I know what that is. Pull the nose up just a tiny bit. Now, another thing on the 150 that I flew, the attitude indicator didn't work well. Like you go like this and go like this and then stop, and the attitude indicator would still be pointing to the left, and then slowly it would start rewriting itself, and then it would point you to the right even though you're going straight. Definitely not an IFR capable aircraft. This is so cool. Oh, Lafarog, you're a little low, sir. A little low, sir. Nicely done, though. All right, this is what we came to see, though. This is crazy. Traffic must be horrific. Wonder if a Greek dude can give us some insight on how the traffic is. Because this is just, it's crazy. I'm sure they have pretty good public transit, though. Definitely not something we have as much of in the United States, unfortunately. This is so neat. Oh, Lafarog, you're making me nervous. All right, check this out. I think everybody knows who that is. Now, the wifey and I got in an interesting discussion earlier trying to remember which one was which. Obviously, this isn't Olympus. But one of the things I find amazing is if you go back, 4,000 years or 3,000 years, and to think that somebody's like, I'm going to build this. This seems like a legit spot for it, and they did it. It's just like, look at that staircase going up. I don't think so. Just look at the scale. Somebody had to make this. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Yay for high wing. Oh man, the amphitheater, that is so cool. I hear the airplane buffeting. It must mean we're getting close to a stall. Wait for it. I hear the propeller slowing down, but I don't hear the meep yet, so I'm a little disappointed. Yeah, we're just gonna park this right in the middle of nowhere. It seems legit. Come on, where's the meep? Fly dangerously here. Oh, I hear the wind noise. There it is. Unusual attitude recovery. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and make our way to a nice, safe landing spot now. Let's see. Taking a look real quickly. We got due south. It's closed. We have due east. We're actually going to come around to the northeast here. And that will be our landing spot today. Wind for me is from the west. I don't know what the wind is for everybody else. Also, you can tell that we did real-world time here because the sun is just starting to get a little interesting. I'm really tempted to fly like on that alley right there, but I know I'm going to bump a wing and then I'll have to restart, and that would just be frustrating. I want to do it so bad, though. You have no idea. All right, so we're going to head... Okay, I'm back. All right, I believe I fixed it. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, I just noticed that cord had come very, very loose and kind of cut out for a second. That's okay, though. All right, so we're going to be setting up for a left downwind for runway 21 here. For me, it's going to be a bit of a crosswind, but nothing that the 172 or 152 can't deal with. It just means it's going to look really, really embarrassing on a live stream, especially after being minted here. Nice. I do like my microphone, but one of the downsides to it is the cord that does all the thing is gravity's constantly pulling on it to make it pop out. So that makes things very interesting for us. All right, traffic pattern altitude today will be 1,800 feet. Not that a 152 can climb or anything like that. There we go. Let's see everybody's soft field landings today. Soft field. There's the runway. Although honestly, with a 152, I could probably land on somebody's driveway if I had to. There we go. Check out the crosswind. I'm pointing at the runway, but I'm clearly going right. I can definitely make you out, Brashnat. Good choice in the 310. So do I get the Beechcraft 18 or do I get the Mooney Ovation? I'm not sure which one I'm more interested in. Does anybody have either of those? relaxing. Just the nice little rumble of the engine. Of course, in the real plane, you got your sunglasses, you're blind, you're going a little deaf because of how loud everything is. You're getting called by air traffic control. Sometimes it's just nice just to go. And of course, since we're getting close to the end as well, does anybody have any suggestions for future destinations? Like I said, I'm thinking about something in the southern hemisphere. Antarctica is definitely a neat idea. We'd have to change the date by a lot, but we can make that one work. And of course, if we did choose Antarctica, we'd probably have to do kind of a loop. We wouldn't be able to really go from one place to another because it's just too big. It's a very, very, very large continent. All right, this is Tatoy Air Force Base, Lima Golf, Tango Tango. Alrighty. Brashnat, looks like you're already getting set up on base there. Now, what do you want to call it? Tatoy? Tasqua? I'm not sure. Don't speak Greek. Air Force traffic. Oh no, we're not even in Skyline. What are we? Alright, thanks USAPR. I was looking at that one. I don't know, I'm kind of torn because the Beech 18 is older and I love old airplanes. The Mooney, though, it's closer to something I'm more likely to fly in the real world, so it's kind of want both. So I'm not sure on that one. Forest Camp, oh boy. Careful, man. I like Simon's comment earlier. Brashnat. Nice, good job, Brash. I'm getting way above traffic pattern altitude here. It just gets so quiet. I love it. It's just like that in the real world, too. As soon as you cut that vibration out, just for half a second, it gets real quiet. All right, down we go. Sierra Yankee Charlie Juliet. I'm going to have to check out what that is. This is going to be a base to final if I've ever seen one. Yeah, I think it's got to be base to final. No, we're actually pretty good. What we're not is on speed here, however. We got to let the nose come down a little bit. There we go. Red 6-4 short final. Which guy? Runway 21. Stereo cockpit. We're here. Nice. I like that little drop out at the last second there. All right. All right. Love it, love it, love it. All right. So anybody interested in joining us for a photograph, apparently we have somebody over here who's already gotten us all picked out. So I'm going to head over in this general direction, and we'll kind of come join up there and grab our picture for today. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions for future things, this would be a great time to do so that, I can get that all registered and get all my good ideas. Like I said, going forward, I hope to show some videos of us actually, flying in the real world as well as flying in the sim. But we'll see a little of that later. I don't think you're going to see that anytime soon. It's going to take a little while to get all that set up and recorded and edited and all those other fun things. FS Realistic. DeMarcus, I do know FS Realistic. I was looking at that the other day. I couldn't convince myself to do it because I do a lot of VR, and I've read some interesting things about it in VR, so I'm kind of waiting. I got to get this lovely twin here. And that happens a lot. There's a limit to how many they allow you to do at any given time in a stream. So unfortunately, that affects that. All right, I'm going to park here and let everybody come get us in the group photo. Group photo. This is always super entertaining. Fortunately, I have to try to get the one that... Oh my god, what are you doing on track? Get out of here. That's irritating. Alright, this is always fun. Always fun. Oh my gosh. I don't know where this guy came. What is that? A VF-35. Oh my gosh, we have an F-35 now? Oh wait, yeah we do. I knew that. Actually, I gotta turn this down. There's like all these jet engines like right in my ears, and it makes it difficult to see. Let's see here. I'll wait until everybody gets in a shot. Kind of like this shot here. I'm gonna take this initial shot, and then I'll probably take another one once everybody else kind of gets down here. So, slow is the best. Slow is the best. Maybe I get a shot like this. Let me try this one. Alright. I don't know. I'm taking a picture. Oh, that would have been such perfect timing. Alright. We got our share. We're missing past calls. So, as always, like I said, if anybody has any questions, comments, suggestions, feel free. Anything that you'd like to see more of, less of, this would be a great time. Otherwise, what I'm going to do is go find something nice and wet and go swimming. I think there's something up to my north here, so I'm going to go do that. We can do a hop takeoff. Ready? Hop takeoff. Meep. Watch this. It's just gonna sink. There it goes. All right, let's go take a look at something to get nice and wet here. Like I said, I believe there's something right up to the north here. We're gonna cheat a little bit to get here because it is just a bit of a ride. Point that way. It looks pretty good. Cheat. Whee! Man, this beats actually flying. Get there a lot sooner. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Now, I feel sorry for Greek dude here because, you know, this is a beautiful, beautiful island with a lovely lake, and everybody is enjoying their little kayak and canoe rides, you know, fishing and everything like that. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's a spiraling Cessna 152. There it is. Oh, there it is. Cross control. Whee! As always, folks, thanks for all joining us this afternoon today. I really enjoy making these. I continue to do so. Coming up in the future, I hope to have some real-world flying videos along with the regular simulator videos. But for now, enjoy.